Information and opinions expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Welcome, live from the AMP Media Studios in Boca Raton, Florida. Hosts Don and Freddie S. Take it up a notch to make your evening a bit spicier. More laughs and just some added evening fun. It's the Brooklyn Cafe Show After Hours, coming to your radio waves on True Oldies VCMG Live. If you want to join us on the show or to share a thought or idea, give us a call at 866-224-5422. Hey, and win tickets to a live broadcast of the show.
And welcome. I know it's not the midday, it's not the morning, it's nighttime.
It's been a long day.
It's been a very long day, but you're going to be excited about watching this next segment.
So welcome to Brooklyn Cafe Show After Hours live on South Florida Oldies. As Freddie says, the only radio station you can see. 7 stations right now in South Florida, as well as airing all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, and wherever else we're streaming.
And if we miss one, we'll let you know later. See, I'm getting to do Perla too much.
I know.
So now my hands are all wiggly.
We've had a busy day.
Got to thank those 2 ladies, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have what we have today.
Home and Soul Harmony. Home and Soul Harmony. Don't even go back to the morning show.
Home and Soul Harmony.
You can't. You're going to try and be serious on this conversation. You started the morning show, then we had midday with Couch Talk.
Yes.
But we've got a lot of exciting things happening. Tomorrow we're going to be at Bramer's Brazilian up on Gateway Boulevard in Boynton Beach for some lunch. We have a lot of friends that are coming up there.
You ladies got to come up.
Brazilian American Bramer's. Come up, have some lunch with us for the Brooklyn Cafe Show midday. I think we've got John Justice Parker singing, and he is unbelievable. I don't even know, is Tommaso coming? We've got the ladies.
Not tomorrow.
Couch Talk are going to be there.
Couch Talk is coming. I left Tommaso off for the 25th.
I think you've got Janet the Hypnotist coming up.
The Hypnotist is coming up.
Because we didn't scare her enough the other day in the rain. People come back for more with you. What is that?
They're hypnotizing everybody.
I don't even know how you do what you do.
But it's a whole lot of fun. You got to see what we do on the outside, because on the outside we're even better than on the inside.
Yeah, let's leave it there. Let's just leave it at that one.
What do we got? What are we
tomorrow
cooking?
we're going to be at Bramer's at 11:30, so come on up. Bramer's Brazilian on Gateway Boulevard. And then please save the date, October 21st, we're having our fundraiser for AMP Media Futures Foundation. And we're excited to be taking it out of the studio to Crazy Uncle Mike's at 5 o'clock Tuesday night, 5 to 7:30. And that is to raise money for the AMP Media Futures Foundation, which is the non-for-profit arm of AMP Media Productions, to help all of the interns and producers actually have real hands-on experience in a media setting. Whether they're neurodivergent, vocational rehab, it doesn't matter to us. As long as they try, it gives them that third wheel, they say, of safety, community, and family, as well as learning, hands-on access to equipment, food insecurity, we help cover that, software, hardware, and it should be a whole lot of fun. So a huge thank you to Do Good Delray and the Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce in conjunction with Crazy Uncle Mike's, 561 Music, all benefiting the AMP Media Futures Foundation. Tickets are $33. We're going to put the QR code up. You can find it at ampfutures.org. You can buy a ticket, you can donate, come on out, sponsor, have some fun. Tickets are only $33, so we hope to see all of you there. If you have any questions, you can always contact us right here at the studio at 888-994-4995. All right, we got a quick show tonight. Don't have our 2-hour usual midday.
I'm amazed the way you do.
You ready to get in? It's the teleprompter over there. You ready to get into this?
I don't know. Let's see.
All right, so I'm excited, and a huge thank you to Home and Soul Harmony for introducing us to our next guest, Tracy Milgram, president, founder of BRCAStrong. I know Breast Cancer Awareness Month, everyone knows is October, but I feel like it's something that we should really be talking about every day, keeping it on the forefront of our minds, because it doesn't only happen to women, it happens to men too. And it's not only in October. So I'm excited. They had their big gala last Saturday, so thank you to Lisa Dwoskin and Perla Lici for making the introduction. And of course, Tracy Milgram, she brings her good friend Ruthie Fernandez. And Ruthie had no idea. She was here for some behind the scenes, but as the caregiver, we're going to get right into this.
This is right behind the scenes.
So welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
I think we just got to get you a little closer to the mics. So we've got Tracy Milgram, Ruthie Fernandez. Tracy, tell us about BRCAStrong.
So BRCAStrong is a grassroots nonprofit based on my own personal story. So at the age of 18 years old, my grandmother was battling breast cancer, and I
Oh, wait, he's going to make sure your mic's on, and we're going to start this over. Thank you.
All right, let's try that again.
Try it again. Welcome, Tracy Milgram.
Who are you?
Tell us about BRCAStrong.
And they say that I'm the funny guy.
Our level of professionalism never ceases.
Yes, as you can tell. We wanted to hear her lip sync.
All right, let's do this again.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I am Tracy, the founder of BRCAStrong. We are a grassroots nonprofit celebrating 10 years, and it's based on my own personal story. At the age of 18 years old, I found my first lump in the shower as my grandmother was battling breast cancer. I underwent a lumpectomy, which was benign. 1 year later, I underwent another lumpectomy, and at 21 as well. All three were benign. And at that time, I was like to my breast surgeon, what is the next step? Like, where are we going with this? Is there any early screenings? He's like, yeah, let's do genetic testing. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, well, we could find out your risks for cancer, whether it's breast or ovarian cancer. And he looked at me and he goes, well, are you Ashkenazi Jewish descent? I was like, hold on, let me call my mom. She's like, yes, we are. So here I underwent testing to find out if I carried the gene. About 4 weeks later, I found out that I was BRCA2 positive, which led me to an 87% chance of breast cancer and a 67% chance for ovarian cancer. And at that time, I was like, wow, I should 21? Be... I was like, I should be out living my best life.
Yeah.
What do I do with all this information? And, you know, Angelina Jolie carries the same genetic mutation as me and really didn't talk about it, right? So once she came out and shared her story, it was public. Everybody wanted to do genetic testing, but there was no centers. There was no place called home. So I went to New York. I went to a couple other centers. They're like, well, you can undergo a mastectomy and have a hysterectomy right now and not have children. And I'm like, nope, I want children. What are my chances and how do I move forward? So I finally found a center local and decided that I was going to undergo surveillance until I got married and had 2 healthy children as I had planned. So fast forward 10 years, after every 6 months I had a scan. So I either had a mammogram and an ultrasound or an MRI. So I was
Let
constantly...
me ask you, because this story to you, it's your story, right? Mm-hmm. But emotionally, at 18, you find a lump in your breast. No 18-year-old is looking for that, thinking they're going to find it. What's the first thing that you think?
So I was really scared. You know, growing up, cancer wasn't a stranger to me, unfortunately. You know, it was so strong in my family history, and my grandmother lost her sister at 40. So I was very aware, and I was in the medical field. So for me, it was always know your body. And, you know, back then we encouraged women and men to do self-breast exams, where now they say don't. I still encourage every woman.
Why do they say don't?
Why?
So the guidelines have changed over time, and the American Cancer Society says you don't have to do them anymore, but we pass out self-breast exam card because nobody's going to know your body like you do, right? And the whole thing is if you feel something, say something.
But does that make even sense not to?
It doesn't make sense because most women can find their lump themselves.
Yeah, before anybody else does, right?
Early detection is key. So we really encourage everybody to do self-breast exams. It was mentally very hard, knowing that I never knew what I was going to face. So there's a term that we use in the community called scanxiety. So before you go for your scans, you're having anxiety, and it's real. Yeah. I mean, the trembles, the thoughts, you know, not knowing if you're going to walk out with a diagnosis. It was very overwhelming. It was very stressful, but I knew that I could take control of my health. So if God forbid something was found and it was malignant versus benign, I knew that I was in the best hands of of the right professionals to know what to do.
And so 10 years ago, married, you've got children.
Yep. And I decided to
You
undergo.
just decided everything was still negative, benign.
So it was still negative, and my ex-husband, who's now my ex-husband, I had told him from the beginning when I found out that I had this gene, as soon as we have our second child, I was going to undergo a hysterectomy. And I chose that first because ovarian cancer has no early detection. There's no screenings for it, right? So until you have symptoms, you don't know. So for me, it was like, if I can alleviate that, and once you have a hysterectomy, it reduces your risks of breast cancer. So I said, let's start there. And then I was like, oh, well, 6 months later, I'm going to undergo a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy. And he's like, Okay.
But that automatically puts you in menopause. So you're what, 32?
So I was 32. I went into
menopause.
surgical menopause. It was the hardest thing of my life. Hot flashes, hips changing, body changing, hair falling out, skin. Didn't realize that my bone health was going to go. Heart health put me at a higher risk, dementia, all the things that come along. Nobody really spoke about 10 years ago.
You were 32. Like,
Now,
I'm trying to understand. Okay, so you had everything done,
Mm-hmm.
and then it gets worse?
it does get worse for a little bit. I thank God went through surgical menopause, I would say, in 9 to 10 months. It was the hardest thing of my life. I would go get my kids and I would be dripping sweat. I'm like, what is going on? Like, and your body changes, your skin changes, the way you feel. I was like, there's got to be light at the end of this tunnel.
was Ruthie with you then?
Ruthie was not, she was around, but she wasn't taking care of me then. She took care of me when I had my mastectomy. She lived on my couch for 6 months. For 6
months?
weeks.
Wow.
6 weeks she lived on my couch. She showered me. She took care of me. So right after my hysterectomy, I healed. It was done robotically, so the healing wasn't as bad. So 6 months later, I underwent a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy with reconstruction, faced several complications, had a lot of extra surgeries, and just pushed through the hard times knowing that my risk went from 87 to 2%. Accepting the new normal was not easy. Facing each surgery came with the challenge mentally of how could I accept the new normal. And then from there, a couple years were very stressful, very hard. But I found that creating a community and a space really made me happy, and taking my pain and turning it into my purpose, and my daughter creating my foundation just gave me light at the other end of the tunnel that women should never feel the way I felt.
And your daughter said something too profound at 6 years old.
She looked at me and said, Mom, you're like a butterfly. You're going to be beautiful again. And it gives me chills and goosebumps every time I talk about it, because from there, literally that's where BRCAStrong was born. It is the true heartbeat of how we started. And she never wanted a woman to have her drains hanging out and her kids around or her family coming. She wanted you to be comfortable. Going through and trying to find a bra after reconstruction is absolutely impossible. We can't walk into Bloomingdale's or walk into Victoria's Secret. You now need to find a custom bra spot, and we couldn't find one. And I was like, what's next? And that's when she created our pre-mastectomy care package
daughter did.
program.
Wow.
Now, before you had the surgeries, did anybody prepare you for the road that was going to be before you?
So they talked a little bit about menopause, that I was going to go into surgical menopause and what it would be like. They didn't explain the weight gain. They didn't explain the body changes. They didn't talk about, your heart health. They didn't talk about the osteoporosis that comes along with it, because your bone health goes to crap, honestly, after. If you don't have hormones, how do your bones stay healthy? So that was one of the biggest struggles that I really did face going through that.
Wow. That's scary. That's more scary than the other stuff. I mean, the other stuff is scary too. But then nobody preps you or warns you or shows you. There's nothing to read, no literature, anything.
And there wasn't anything on Previvors, which is somebody who has a higher predisposition to getting a cancer. Not saying you will get a cancer. It's always on survivors. But now over the last decade, things have drastically changed. I was in menopause, like I said, at 32. And just 3 months ago, I started an estrogen patch. I was never offered. They didn't want to give it to me because it reduced, it gave you higher risks, or they didn't know what was going to happen. But now it's a game changer for women.
The estrogen patch? Wow.
I feel like a normal person. Like, I have balance. Before, I was angry. I was frustrated. I was overwhelmed. You would say something to me and I would just like, oh my God, what do I do? Where do I go? Like, I just couldn't, I didn't have that. It was so overwhelming. You could even see in the last 3 months, I feel like a new woman.
And Ruthie, you've been friends with Tracy since you were 3.
Yeah.
So a lifetime. From New York, now you're here.
Yeah.
And you slept on her couch for 6 weeks, taking care of her post-mastectomy.
Yeah.
How do you see hold up your mic.
Oh.
How do you see her? I guess the estrogen patches have changed her.
Yes. She was very short-tempered. She would get stressed very easily. It's literally, I would say, 85-90% better with the estrogen patch.
Wow, you must have been.
Like, we were looking
Positive
for
people.
a change. She would say, I don't know how you're so patient. How do you I feel so like frustrated, and like I don't know why I feel like this. And I was like, you gotta tell your doctor about it. You have to, something has to change.
But the estrogen patch, even for women who haven't gone through surgical menopause, going through menopause, it's a game changer, and there's so much judgment on it. Just going through it, should you do it, shouldn't you do it, does it increase the risk, does it not? But then there's a thing called life, and you're trying to function through life, and how do you do that when everyone's throwing out options or no options and you're suffering? And I can tell you, just as a woman going through menopause, the suffering and everyone else around you, it's impossible to deal with.
So I was actually at a really big conference called Empower, and I met this physician, Dr. Corinne Men, who's from New York, and I literally was telling her my story, and all of a sudden I saw her turn as red as your Solo cup. She's like, I'm irate that they have let you suffer for so long and did not help you. And by the time I left that conference, I was like, I need to go on medication. Like, I was the person that didn't want to go on medication, didn't want to put anything in my body. You know, I already reduced my risk, but what else can happen, right? And when I left that conference, I was like, I'm going out on Monday. And I didn't even hesitate. And I truly feel like it's the biggest game changer that has ever happened to me.
'Cause if you had known, you could have made an educated, do I want to, do I not want to?
Right.
You weren't even given an option to make that decision.
I was denied for a really long time. I did ask, and I was denied. And they're like, nope, there's no education, there's no literature, and now there's actually NCC guidelines.
Oh, so they were more afraid to let you use it because they didn't know what would happen.
Correct.
Wow.
A
What
part
a
of
catch-22.
BRCAStrong, do you educate, do you help educate on a variety of surgical, scanxiety, all of that?
That is what we do on a daily basis. Honestly, we talk about scanxiety, we talk about, breast cancer, different types of breast cancer, prevention, surveillance, surgical, digging deep into it, your reconstruction types, knowing that you don't have to do reconstruction. You can have flat closure. You don't have to have a double mastectomy. You can have a unilateral mastectomy. You can go use a deep flap, which is your own tissue to create your own breast. You don't have to have implants. So we want to make sure that you literally have every resource at your fingertips, because nobody should ever have to go through what I went through, and you should be given all your options up front.
Now, everything that you just mentioned, is that new in the last 10 years?
So you were always offered an implant. The latissimus flap is older. The deep flap is something newer that they are speaking about. 10 years ago, I was not offered a deep flap. Only one surgeon was doing it in the world.
Wow.
Now they're all over the world that are doing it. And honestly, it's a really big game changer for a lot of women. You don't have to use implants, and you can use your own tissue. It is a much deeper, intense surgery. So when Ruthie took care of me, I went through implants. My body rejected 2 sets of implants. During COVID, right before COVID started, I lost one of my implants. It protruded through my body. And COVID came, so I wasn't able to have reconstruction at that time. And then I also underwent brain surgery for a Chiari malformation, and then was like, what's next? What are we doing? And I found a center that performed the deep flap surgery, but it's a 10-hour procedure. Wow. And there's a higher chance that you can have a failed flap, which means your flap did not take in your blood vessels. Unfortunately, on one of my sides, my flap did not take, so I did end up going back in for another procedure, which is the latissimus flap, which is your back lat. They take it and move it over so you can have a natural looking breast.
So Ruthie, for you, as a caregiver, as her best friend and her everything, what's it like to watch? Because as hard as it is for the patient and a family, here is essentially your sister helping you through this. What's this feel like for you? And to see her grow now, look at her. She's like incredible, well-spoken, and helping so many people.
It's, it was very scary at the time, but now, like, she changes so many people's lives. Like, I'll be honest, I was so against, like, me going for, like, the genetic testing, because my mother's mother both had breast cancer. I'm like, I know it's going to come back positive. I know it's, I already know. And I finally said, you know, because she inspires me so much, that I will do the genetic testing, you know. I mean,
Did you do it?
I'm going to
Okay.
on.
She just decided.
Yeah.
Wow.
It brings tears to my eyes, but like good tears, because she changes so many people's lives. Like, you know, she's an inspiration. She's a really strong woman, a great mother, and you know, just seeing like how she changes so many people's lives, it's inspiring. I'm
And
very
tell us
proud of her.
About the BRCAStrong package that people get, no charge. It's all covered by donations and sponsors.
So we provide everything you need in a box to a man and to a woman. Basically, we provide a post-mastectomy bra, which is a bra that has drain holders in it. So you don't have to have your robes dangling by your side. You can actually tuck them into a pocket, and you can remove the drain holders once your drains come out, with shirts with drain pockets, robes with drain pockets, and also a chest buddy pillow. So it goes on your seatbelt. So when you're driving home from the hospital, you don't have to worry about that friction on your chest. It protects it. And then we also have something called BCure, which is for post-radiation surgery and chemo. And we also partner with Thrive Cosmetics because they support causes.
You've been through so much. I'm like, my head is going to explode. I got to ask you, how do you feel?
So I have good days and I have bad days. I have more good days than I do bad. You know, my mom recently found out in November that she's BRCA2 positive. She is a thriver. She will never be cured of cancer. She has multiple myeloma. The last 6 months, actually longer than that now because it was November, have been weighing heavier on me, just knowing that I now am at risk for another cancer, multiple myeloma, and there's no cure. So, you know, finding out how you can get screened for that, but knowing that I have the knowledge that I have and the resources that I have put my mind at such ease. Like just for a little scare, I know that I could pick up the phone and I can call one of my physicians. Or, you know, one thing that's probably one of the scariest cancers that we talk about is pancreatic cancer. There's no screening for it, right? You know, somebody who carries a genetic mutation, fortunately and unfortunately, qualify for a clinical trial where I can get screening for pancreatic cancer. So when I have the bad days, I look at the positive side and say, you know, there's hope. And looking back 20 years ago when I found out I carried the gene, things have changed so much. Dr. Susan Dumchek in Bassar BRCA is working on a vaccine that my kids could qualify for.
Wow.
Like, that is, to me, game changer.
Now, will your kids have that choice to get tested, or have they already made a choice?
So, you know, Gabby's 16. She says at 18 she's getting genetic testing no matter what I say. She's very adamant. You know, she sees our girls that take preventative action, and then she's seen a lot of our sisters pass. So I think that her seeing that opens up her eyes to life and what it can bring. My son still is a little iffy on it. You know, he talked a little bit at the gala about how, you know, he could carry the gene and his 50% risk, and he's really unsure of what it really means. He understands it. You know, unfortunately, cancer's been no stranger to him either. He's lost 5 people that were his closest lifeline in a short span of, by the time he was 3.5. So for him, he remembers that.
And if men are BRCA positive, we're not looking at ovarian cancer and things like that. What's the link for men? Pancreatic?
Pancreatic, breast, prostate,
Okay.
and melanoma. And melanoma comes associated with it, and nobody's really talking about skin cancer. Look, we live in Florida, right? Our moles love that sunlight. That's how we feed the cancer, and nobody's out there talking about it. I mean, I've already had skin cancer at 23, so for me, now, like today I was at the dermatologist, and she's like, we have to dig a little deeper, and I'm like, is it because I carried the gene, or is it, what is it? And she's like, because you have a higher predisposition.
Talk to me about the gala. What was that all about?
So the gala was our 10-year celebration from when we first started BRCAStrong. It's just a small group on Facebook, just bringing everybody together and celebrating life, and really just coming together to see what we've done over 10 years. We've helped over 10,000 women on a national basis with providing pre-mastectomy care packages, creating 87 transformational photo shoots, watching women come in as their most authentic self right out of bed, to transforming them to their fullest, most beautiful self.
We have about a minute, So how do people find you if they want more information?
So they can find us at www.brcastrong.org or on Instagram at BRCAStrong or on Facebook.
And is there a message that both of you want to leave people that are listening?
Know your body, do your self-breast exams, and if you feel something, say something.
How about you, Ruthie?
If you're not sure, educate yourself. Very important.
All right. Thank you so much for, wow, how much education, right? Can you squeeze in 30 minutes?
I'm speechless. I'm gonna tell you.
Freddie's head is spinning. I'm like, I keep looking at him and his head is going.
I'm like, wow. I you know, it's what a journey. There's so much going on.
You don't know
at
what
the
you
same-
don't know, but yet-
emotionally, it just leaves you numb. You know, because it's tough. Okay, we gotta go. All right.
But thank you so much, ladies, for giving us the honor of sharing your information and your stories with us, because it gave us this platform to be able to share it with everybody else.
Absolutely, and thank you to
Thank
Lisa.
you.
for-
So I hope more to
Thank
come.
you.
I hope we can actually maybe create this
Oh, we
new
definitely gotta do
platform.
more.
I would love to. I mean, I definitely think that there's a lot of work we can do. I mean, you know, a lot of my people are south, but I mean,
But you know
It's a
what? That's the beauty of
We bring South meets North.
what it is.
100%.
Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, Tracy and Ruthie. It has been a pleasure. South Florida Oldies, thank you, thank you, thank you. And hopefully we're going to see you tomorrow at Bramer's, 11:30 a.m. Have a great evening, everyone. We'll see you next time.
And don't be late.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show After Hours. If you want to be a part of the show or simply call in, that's 866-224-5422. We'll see you next time.